Iris lies on the bed with a faraway look, her husband sleeping beside her. After some time, she gets out of bed, takes a knife from the drawer, and leaves the house, leaving her phone behind. She drives through the forest, parks her car, and climbs the Rocky Mountains. At the top, she places her son's toy boat at a memorial, gazes at his photo wistfully, and begins carving his unfinished initial M for Matteo into a tree. She hears a scraping sound and investigates, but it's just the wind. As she gazes at the vast forest, she clenches her fist and considers ending her life. However, she is interrupted by a man named Richard. He asks about the memorial he saw on the trail, but she refuses to talk about it. Standing at the edge, she looks down once more. Richard jokingly suggests that if she's going to jump, she should at least tell him her name. She remains silent. He starts talking about his life, sharing how he was a car enthusiast until a terrible accident with his girlfriend Chloe during college. He reveals they were arguing before the crash and feels guilty about the last words he said to her. She says sorry. He adds he spent 2 months in a hospital bed, which was excruciating. Iris opens up about the death of her son Matteo, recounting how her husband carved their initials into a tree while Matteo gathered 3 sticks to roast marshmallows. Matteo boasted he could find the sticks in under a minute, but Iris doubted him and went off to collect wild flowers. They didn't hear when their son fell. She laments that the world takes what it wants and wishes it had taken her instead. She confesses she couldn't cry, considering that the worst part, and admits feeling broken. Richard offers comfort, assuring her that being broken doesn't mean being hopeless. As he bids her goodbye, she finally reveals her name is Iris. Richard emphasizes that what she chooses to do next is hers and points out the day's beauty. As he leaves, Iris follows him, and together they head down the mountain trail toward their cars. Once they reach their respective cars, Iris bids him goodbye. Richard asks if she would return again to the hilltop, but she reassures him she wouldn't today. He smiles and says he will take today and enters his car. Since Richard parked so close to Iris's car, she couldn't get in. Noticing this, Richard gets out and approaches with a mysterious-looking umbrella. She asks whether it's for rain, and he simply says she cannot be more prepared. Then he plunges the umbrella's base into her stomach, which emits electricity. She faints. He hogties her, places her in the back seat of his car, and starts driving. When she comes to, she panics and tries to call her husband via smartwatch. Richard sees this and says she won't get a signal here. Iris says her husband will be looking for her and that he doesn't have to do this. Richard adds he's heard that phrase from many women he kidnapped before, how they say they have children and are mothers, but he doesn't care. He then places a toy boat near her. Cleverly, she takes her knife and starts cutting away the plastic tie to distract him, using the knife to free herself. She asks about Chloe, but he instead asks her to tell her son's name. She reveals it was Matteo. Iris asks if Chloe was pretty. He replies she was and says Iris reminds him of her. Iris asks what he plans to do with her. He says he has a place in the woods and wants to braid her hair. She cuts her rope, attacks him, which leads to their car crashing into a tree. She tries to get out, but he pulls her hair and a fight ensues. In the end, she manages to escape. He randomly asks if she has started to feel anything yet. Iris demands he stop the expletive and tell her what he means. He reveals he injected her with a paralyzing medicine that will shut down her system in about 20 minutes. He explains that in a minute, her fine motor skills will decline, making it hard to hold things. At 10 minutes, her legs will tingle. At 15, lose function. At 18, breathing becomes labored. At 20, she will lose her voice and paralysis will take over. She runs, dropping her knife. While running, she tries to count on her fingers and recalls teaching Matteo how to count. She snaps out of it when spotting Richard, who informs her they will have a whole weekend together. After an hour, she runs again but can't count on her fingers. She sets her watch to 20 minutes to track the medicine's effect. Having trouble walking, she drags her foot through the forest. In about 3 minutes, her legs give out. She crawls towards safety, closely followed by Richard calling her name. She hides inside a tree trunk crawling with ants. Unable to control the pain, she cries out. Hearing her, Richard approaches, but she jumps into a water eddy that carries her to someone's lawn. She has lost all ability to speak or move properly. Her breathing is labored. An old man cleaning his lawn sees her and asks if she can speak. She cannot move her mouth. He moves his finger in front of her. Her eyes follow. She blinks in response. He asks if she hears him. She blinks. He asks if she can move. She blinks twice for no. He asks if she is hurt. She blinks twice. He says he will bring her inside and call 911. She blinks once. He brings a wheelbarrow and drags her inside. They hear a knock. She blinks rapidly, signaling it's probably Richard, and warns the man not to open, but he doesn't understand and opens the door. He faces a disheveled Richard, who asks if he's seen his wife, describing her. The old man is suspicious and says he'll call for help, closing the door. Richard enters anyway, searching for Iris. She is not on the wheelbarrow. The old man threatens to call the police if he doesn't leave. Richard asks for a phone, saying he lost his own. He doesn't care if police come as he's lost his wife. The old man sits, says his name is Andrew, and that his wife has mental health problems. She was driving while arguing. He can't remember what happened after they crashed. The old man asks Richard's wife's name. He replies Chloe. Iris listens behind the sofa. Richard says Chloe becomes catatonic when unwell. The old man says it must be complicated. Richard asks if the old man has anyone in his life. The old man opens up about his wife, who had a heart attack. They focused on him, overlooking her health. Richard says the world takes what it wants, which Iris said to him earlier. The old man asks if Richard loves his wife. He says yes. As the old man prepares to tell Richard where Iris is, Richard's phone buzzes. The old man grows suspicious, asking why Richard has a phone when he said he lost it. Richard claims disorientation and asks him to continue. Richard bluntly asks where she is. The old man apologizes, says she's in the garden shed. Richard doubts him, asks for the phone. While distracted, the old man pushes Richard into a shelf, making him fall hard. As he calls 911, Richard wrestles and fights him. While down, Richard grabs a knife and distracts the old man by talking about how his actions would hurt his wife. As the old man strikes, Richard stabs him in the foot. Unable to find Iris, Richard mercilessly kills the old man. He pours gasoline in the house and sets it on fire. Iris tries to get Richard's attention by drawing a blind. When he sees the window, he knows she is inside. He goes in, carries her to his car, and says he's never killed a man before, joking about a first time. A call from his daughter interrupts. She shares news of good marks and meeting at the cabin, surprising him. He tells her to give the phone to her mother, Lizzie, who says he takes too many solo trips and Olivia needs a change. Richard reluctantly agrees. At a gas station, he puts a hat on Iris and fills the tank. The pay-by-card machine is out of order, so he pays cash. Iris tries to remove her seatbelt. A woman and child nearby catch her attention. The woman scolds the child, seeming suspicious of Iris's desolation. Richard fastens her seatbelt and drives back to the crash site. He changes clothes, takes the syringe, umbrella, and tools to the old man's truck, and begins repairs. A police officer arrives, questions Richard, who says his drunk wife crashed the car. The officer says he received a gas station call. Iris tries to scream for help. The officer takes time to understand. Richard seizes the moment, kills the officer, then burns the vehicle. As they drive off, Iris asks if he made himself helpless. Richard says no. She asks if he's acting out of grief for Chloe or lost his mind since hospital bedtime. Abruptly, he says he found clarity watching Chloe die and liked it. Iris asks what he said during her last moments. He said he thanked her. Iris pleads he shouldn't continue, reminding him of his beautiful family. She mourns her lost son and warns he'll regret this in jail. She asks to be dropped roadside as she can't report him, not knowing his name or identity. She mentions how broken doesn't mean hopeless, echoing his words. He scoffs, says he isn't broken, and drives toward a pier. There, he laments their short time. Iris stabs him with the syringe, but weakness holds her back. He laughs, saying she's not fully recovered. Tearfully, she asks why when she had tried killing herself already. He says he wants to make her crave life then crush her, because he enjoys it. She screams as he hogties her and drags her onto a boat, beginning to sail. Seeing his knife, she sobs, making a last wish for her son's toy in her pocket. He agrees, but as he approaches, she stabs him in the neck, pushes him off. The boat fills with water. She drowns, then swims ashore. Seeing Richard fighting for his life, she silently thanks him for giving her the will to live.